This is the Roundup video for October 2019. As usual, I'm just going to run through the documentation website, then flick between Garage Hive and Power BI to show the updates. So starting with, on the 1st of October, we added the ability for technicians to select from a pool of jobs. This is really useful if you run a tyre bay. You have lots of tyre jobs coming in, and you don't necessarily know the order in which the technicians are going to be coming free to get onto the tyre jobs. So I'll just show you how this works. So within Garage Hive, if we look at this sample, we'll see this particular company has 3 jobs in the tyre bay, and none of these jobs are allocated to a technician. So I'll just show you what the technician can now do if you have this set up. So this is a technician's tablet, which I'm working in now. If I go to easy clocking, I'll clock into work. If I look at my tasks, you can see I don't have any jobs assigned directly to me. But if I go to tyre jobs, I can see these 3 jobs that are represented on this line on the schedule. So I'll just start this first job just so you can see what happens. So I've now clocked onto that job. If we refresh the schedule, you'll see it actually moves that job down for you. So you can imagine if you had several technicians all fitting tyres and a great long list of tyre jobs to do, then the technician, you don't need to assign the jobs to the tech. The tech can just go straight to the next available job and assign the job to themselves. So it's a really nice feature, especially in busy tyre shops. It works quite well for MOT bays as well if you're running multiple MOT bays. Okay, so on the 7th of October, we made quite a few changes to the way these surveys work. So we added the ability to send text messages straight from surveys, set review requested dates, record the date when a review is requested on the customer card, access customer comments. So I'll just show you these 4 features right now. So under surveys to review, we can see the surveys that have come in. These are just demo surveys, so we can see the promoter, passive or detractor. You already had these features before where you could review the surveys, but you'll see now if I select edit list, I can, for example, just type in anything here on this review. I can categorize it as well. So if I want to say that this customer said that the service was too expensive, if you categorize the survey results, then you can report from those categories as well. But the features in question up here, you can see you can send SMS directly from here. So I can apply a template and actually request a review. So if they leave positive feedback through the internal survey, you can then request a review via the system. You can, if you send them a review, you can set a review request date. So if I tick this button here, sorry, it helps if I get that right. So if I tick this button here, you can see it set the review requested date here. I can access the customer card and the customer comment. So if a customer leaves a review and it's not particularly good and you've had to take some action on the review, well, if you leave customer comments, the next time next time your front of house see the customer, they're going to get warned about these comments. So they're going to see the action you took. So if you made them a promise, for example, you gave them £10 off the next MOT test, then you can actually record that within these comments section here as well. So we made some changes to the inspections. We added a 2-column layout printout, which I'll show you. The ability to view the tyre information graphically instead of in a list, and a faults and actions printout. So again, I'll just show you these features within the system. So this is an inspection that a technician has done. If I go to print vehicle inspection, what you'll see is that you can have this 2-column layout. So it prints in 2 columns. It just means that you can reduce the number of pages quite dramatically. Now this is only a short one, but you can appreciate if you had many more lines, then you can save considerable paper doing it this way. But what you'll see is that it doesn't actually leave the comments next to it, what the technician's written. And I'll just show you how we tackle that shortly. You see with the tyres as well, you can either have them in a list format, or you can actually create this sort of layout. So you can have near side front, offside rear, and spare, etc. So We also added this faults and actions function to the bottom of inspections. So anything that a technician writes up here, I'm going to show you what you can do. You can select manage, add attention lines, and it will populate the faults and actions with any of these that the technician's actually written a comment against. So if something needs doing, then it will populate down here. As well as the fault description, which is what the technician wrote, you can actually write the required action as well if you'd like to. So for example, I'll just put test action here. And then what you can do, you can actually print the faults and actions for the customer. So if you don't want to give them the visual printout, you can actually just show the faults and actions. So what you've looked at, what you've found, and what actions required. Now what's quite cool about this, if we confirm this and create a VHC, I'll just very quickly show you this. So from within the VHC, you can also see the faults and actions. So previously, where you'd have to price up, you'd have to decipher the vehicle inspection, looking at this information. Well, it's all condensed down here for you, and then you can decide based on what the technicians looked at, what they've found, and what they're suggesting is the action required. You can then give the customer an estimate. So again, nice feature. If you want that setting up, you just need to speak to one of the members of the team. We added the ability to add external website links. So this is, again, very useful, especially if you do a lot of digital service records, or you want to give your staff access to handbooks that you've got stored on the likes of OneDrive, for example. Well, now you can actually add external web links to the homepage of role centers as well. So this is just a demonstration. I've got documentation, YouTube, community, and support. If I click on one of these links, then it just opens the website. We added the ability for customers to opt out of booking reminders now. Previously that wasn't in the system, but now from within the customer card, there's an option to opt them out of booking reminders. And we've added the vendor invoice number to the aged accounts payable report. Previously it was just the internal document number. So on the 20th of October, there was some Power BI updates. So I'll just very quickly show you these reports. So we added an open estimate analysis, which allows you to analyze any non-converted estimates. So you can see the customer details on the left, the actual what you've estimated on the right, breakdown of the types of vehicles that you've estimated on and not won. Obviously, estimate value over time and number of estimates over time. But what's quite cool, if I select an estimate on the left-hand side, then I can actually see the details of the estimate on the right-hand side. Who did the estimate, if there's a reason code why it wasn't authorized, and what vehicle it was. So I don't need to even go into Dynamics or Garage Hive to actually see the estimate. I can see it all from Power BI. And the second improvement was to the VHC report. What we did, we added a pie chart so you can actually see a breakdown of the reason codes why work wasn't won, and a breakdown of the advisors as well. So you can actually see who, if I select an individual month, then I get a breakdown of reason codes why work wasn't authorized, and I can see the split between the advisors on who authorized what amount and what their authorized percentage was. So moving on to the 30th of October, we introduced user tasks. Now there is an extended video on this, but I'll just very briefly show you a demo. You've got these two new tiles, and this is the ability to assign tasks to other users and receive tasks from users. Now these tiles will go red when the task is due. So if I open the assign to me, then I can see I've got to call Mr. Smith and return some brake pads. So in this demonstration, I'm going to have called Mr. Smith back. I can just go process, mark complete, and that tile reduces. So it's like a to-do list for yourself and for others. But what is a really cool feature is if you task somebody else, when that task comes due, you will also get a red tile. So the system allows two people to monitor the status of a task, the receiver of the task and the creator of the task. Document description and work description now pop out, have a pop-out window. You can either use the pop-out or you can go full screen. So I'll show you a quick demo of this. So from within this job sheet, you can see the work description here. If I scroll over it, I get a preview, which is quite cool. But then if I open it, I can either use this window here, or I can go full screen and get a full pop-out window of the work description, which just makes it a lot easier to type in. And the template function still works as well. So if I want to create templates for work descriptions, then that still applies to this feature. We added a tie field for checkbox to item cards, which is mainly an internal change. Changed the default column layout for technicians on tablet devices, so it's just much more simplified for the technician now. The clock in terminal supports different time zones for our international customers. Introduced item overview report. So this is a new report we've designed which allows you to view the history of an item very easily. So again, I'll just show you some examples of this. It's available from the item list under history. It's available from an item card under history. But in this sample, I'm going to show you from the items to return. So if I go reports, items to return, this is the list of items that Garage Hive is telling me that I shouldn't have in stock, so therefore they need to be returned. But if you want to understand where you bought one from and what the last invoice number was and what job sheet the part was ordered for, that's quite easy to do. So in this demonstration, I will use this oil. If I go to history, history overview, well, what I get here are all the sales invoices and the purchases. So I can see the purchase invoice, the vendor I purchased the oil from. If I select this, it opens the purchase invoice I bought the oil on. I can see the customer that I sold it to, and I can see the job sheet numbers that I actually sold it on as well. So let's just look for another sample. Let's use this one. So in this case, you can see we've never sold it, but we've bought it a few times. But what you can see is the job sheets that we've actually bought it for. So if I click on the job sheet, I can actually see the job sheet. Although this job sheet's now been posted, I can see that this battery was originally ordered for this job, and I can see the vendor invoice number. So very useful when you're trying to establish why a part's in stock when perhaps it shouldn't be. So that's it for the October changes. I hope you like the changes. There was quite a lot gone into October, particularly towards the end of October. These last 3 changes are quite significant. If you've got any questions, then please let me know. Thank you.